Right guys, welcome back to the channel and to this review of Chapter Approved 2019. A massive thank you to Games Workshop for sending this out for us to review. You get 2 books in the package. You don't pay for the books separately, so for everybody that is worried about having to pay for 2 books, they've just done what they've done with AOS. You get 1 book, literally all that's in it is current points. That's it. I'm not going to go over this because the amount of leaks and everything that's been all over the internet, it's not worth me going through this, guys. So I'm not going to. Everything is in there though, current points, not just change points. So basically, any books that you've got, ignore the points, go for this, apart from Genestealer Cult Neophytes, because they are not 55 points a model as it says in here. That's the only typo that I've found. However, that to one side, I like this book. Now, in this book, there is a lot more missions and focus around ways to play than what there's been in any chapter approved previously, I think. It's printed very nicely inside. I'm not overly fussed on the missions. I'm not as keen on them, but I do like a lot of the narrative stuff that's in there. Plus, all of the Slaanesh updated rules are in here, because that's what's put me off playing Slaanesh. You've got to use the Codex, but then remember which ones that you don't want to use. Then you've got to use the, I think it was it Blood and Fury, this Khorne and Slaanesh box set that came out, Lucy, last year? Well, basically you had to use the book from there to use your Slaanesh models. Yeah. And then obviously when Shalaxi Hellbane and everybody came out, you had to use White Dwarf. So you were jumping between 3 books. Now you can almost stick to 1, which is mainly this. And of course your Demonettes are still in the Codex, but there we go. However, inside of this, there is lots and lots of different ways to play, which is good. I know a lot of people don't like narrative play, but it is very cool. They've got details about the open war cards, which if you didn't pick a set of these up, it's worth trying to find some, because if you play in fun missions as opposed to competitive, open war cards are absolutely brilliant. You've got Secret Agenda and the covert operations missions as well, so there's very cool ways that you can play with them. You've got Open War Army Generator, which you basically slap any models from any armies together if a few of your mates just turn up at your local gaming store and basically just want to, you know, thrash it out. Open War Army Generator is definitely the way to go, so there's lots and lots of information there regarding that. And of course you can build your army randomly as well. For narrative play, however, Spearhead is where you can basically take loads of heavy support and tanks, which Ali will absolutely love. And had this been out last month when we did the Monsters versus Tanks, I think this would have been very cool to actually use. So there's lots of scenarios there to go with that. And you can even spend command points to make them tank aces to give them +1 to hit. You can give them warlord traits, and I think, to be honest, I really want to play this with Ali, because this is going to be fantastic for a tank heavy army. So expect to see that on the channel very soon. You'll notice as well, and this is, I was pleasantly surprised with it, the pages are actually a lot nicer laid out and a lot easier to find stuff on than the previous chapter approved, as well as obviously the colour detail and everything as well. We've got the missions for the Spearhead, as well as stratagems for specific missions as well. So, you know, if tanks is your thing, absolutely go for that. And you've got quite a few others there as well. Something that they also previewed was linked games. Now, if you play a Kill Team, if you play Apocalypse, you can basically string 3 games together of your Kill Team, your Warhammer 40,000 and your Apocalypse as well, which is very cool, because obviously if Ian plays an Apocalypse game here, you could play a Kill Team game, an Apocalypse game, and a Warhammer 40,000 game. And you know what? Within that, those 3 missions alone are basically a campaign. So you've got very specific scenarios about what is going on. The Titan Down one, that's fantastic, and I would love to play that with Ian's Warlord Titan as well. I think that would be very cool. So we might have to play a little bit of Kill Team and Ian's Apocalypse and stuff as well, to try and put some of these missions together, but I think they're very cool. You've got Death from Above as well, which is rules for flyers and things, which if you've seen the flyer game that I'm putting up next week, or you've seen pictures of it at Battle Bunker, that's going to be fantastic. But this is for example, when you're running highly dense terrain and your miniatures are basically clambering over the top of gantries and everything like that as well. Very, very cool missions. Different ones all included in there as well. The challenge missions are cool. I've always wanted to run something along the lines of Gears of War Horde mode, if you've ever played Gears of War. And basically the challenge missions give you similar to that. Very, very specific tasks, kind of against the odds for the defender or the attacker, but they are very, very cool. So you've got the last stand with stratagems very specific to that as well. But there, look, the challenge rating goes up as you get to battle round 7 and above. I really, really want to do something like this. Imagine like a squad of custodians in the middle of the table or on the side of the table, and just wave after wave of Tyranids going after them. That would be fantastic. So there's a couple of different ones there. Headhunters, which is basically like killing characters. Domination as well. But then you've got your matched play games. So all of the rules from all of the FAQs are updated into one place here. These are your specific matched play rules. So you've got your prepared positions, you've got psychic focus, tactical reserves, tactical restraint, targeting characters. Everything is there. The Battle Brothers keyword and everything like that as well. So it's nice that it's now all in one place. And then you've got your Eternal War missions. I do like a couple of these Eternal War missions. They are worded a lot more clearer than what previous iterations were, which I like that a lot. Sometimes you have to like reread 3 or 4 things, but basically it tells you here how you score. And it's very, very clear as to what is available and how to deploy and everything. It's so much clearer. The wording is incredibly tight compared to some of the other missions. So the favourite one that I liked was Lockdown, which is what you've probably seen me and Stephen play in the Blood Angel vs Custodes game. I like this one a lot. That's why I picked that one to play. So I would seriously advise picking this up just for the missions alone for Eternal War. However, and this is for me, Schemes of War is some of the rules that they introduced in White Dwarf a few months ago about how you go around building your tactical objective deck. It's a very specific way of playing, of holding the cards in your hand and then putting them into play, and you can put them face down or face up. I wasn't that fussed on that to begin with. But in order to play any of the 6 following Maelstrom missions, you've got to play Schemes of War. I'm not a fan of that, and I love Maelstrom over Eternal War. I really do, because I think it's so random and fun. However, this is going to take some getting used to. So if you haven't played Schemes of War previously like me, triple read this, because it's a whole different way of playing a Maelstrom game. Entirely different. So once I've played a couple of games off camera, you'll probably see that the battle reports start to filter out and start using these missions instead when I'm a lot more familiar with them. But you've got 6 missions there as well. And I think some of them will be quite fun. Again, when you know how to play the Schemes of War. If you're already playing the Schemes of War, then jump straight into the missions. Very, very fun to pick up on. However, the Appendix, like I said, you've got all of the war scrolls for the Slaanesh stuff that wasn't in the Codex, or that wasn't in the White Dwarf article. So you've of course got Celeste, Shalaxi, Infernal Rapturous and Contorted Epitome, all of which came out after the Codex and after Wrath and Rapture it was called. But the Herald of Slaanesh on Exalted Seeker Chariot, that was index only, that wasn't even in the Codex. And they fixed the weapon skill, because the weapon skill went 2, 4 and 6. So they fixed that at least. And they've updated the war scroll entirely so that they basically have the same rules as the current Heralds. Fair dues to them for doing that. I appreciate that they've done that, and I think it's very cool. So if you're a Slaanesh player, you're probably best off picking this up to have most stuff in one place. Horrors changed slightly as well, so they're there, and of course Blood Crushers and Flesh Hounds are also in there as well. Fortifications. they're in here. I don't know why. Unfortunately, nobody plays fortifications, and I think the reason that you don't see fortifications is not only the points, it's the fact it takes up one of your detachments, and most people who play competitively, you know, want to use the other detachments to generate extra command points or to take soup. So I think if a battalion could take a fortification, you may see one or two, but I don't think you're going to see loads of them. You've got all the battlefield terrain rules as well, and one interesting thing that I noticed was sealed frontiers structure, and this is very, very similar to the rules that the ITC adopted, but obviously this is very specific to the Rise of Ruins that you get. I think it's in the Moon-based Classius box, but this basically means that you can go inside of it, and for ITC players it's nothing new. For people who don't play ITC, it's new, and I think it could be a little bit annoying, but at least they've started, adapt everything that's in this book. A lot of the missions seem to revolve around the way that ITC runs. It's not a bad thing, guys. It just takes a little getting used to if you're not used to it, that's all. Overall, I actually think this is the best chapter approved that they've released. The presentation of it is very nice. The fact that you get a separate point manual is very nice as well. And of course, they've acknowledged that Slaanesh was very hard to play, and actually updated the stuff on there. So, I recommend picking this up, regardless of what army you play. The missions in it alone are fantastic, and like I said, there's a lot of different narrative stuff in there. So go and check it out, guys. It's available to pre-order now, but in the meantime, thank you very much for watching.